Hey, hey, hey. That's right. Here we go again. Straight with fam. And I got my boys again here today. Joshua
We
and
back.
Jordan. That's right. We about to turn it up. Because we know we had some crazy stuff going in the weeds. Talking about the Cowboys. Things not looking good at the house. So we're gonna talk about it, see what's happening. See if we can kick somebody out, put somebody on the porch, put somebody in the kitchen. Something's gonna have to happen. Because this season is coming up. And we don't want any nonsense. Not up in here. But that's where it's gonna be though. If we don't get it straight. So here we go. Setting it straight with fam. Now. So Joshua, I want you to tell me, man, we got some stuff going on, but McCarthy, man, we were handing some stuff back in. The fans were talking some stuff on, social media. We're talking stuff getting leaked out. I know you've heard. I know Jordan have heard. Man, what's going on in the house, man? Come on, talk to me.
All right. So word on the street, right, is Mike McCarthy is fed up with Dallas. So I mean, there's a lot of reports that's going on about that in regards to Mike McCarthy and Dallas. This his contract's not extended. I don't think that's the reason, but I think it has a lot to do with players and player acquisition and the inability to acquiesce players. So um, I think that people are he in particular is probably a little frustrated in that regards. But honestly don't think that he's as frustrated as what uh people perceive that he's as frustrated. I think that he's accepted it as the way to go, but I mean, in that regards, I just think that he's just like, okay, this is what I have to work with, and I'm just going to carry on as planned. I don't think that he has time to be as frustrated as what people perceive him to be, but I think that he is, in a sense, a little. I think he's scratching his head because you expect the front office to give you tools to work with, and it seems like they haven't, you know, given him any tools in regards to the like positions of need, like defensive tackle, running back, and those areas and stuff like that. So, I mean, what do you think, Jordan?
Um, I mean, it is what it is. Like, I think it's funny that now Mike McCarthy is kind of fed up, but you kind of played the game to get the job, and then now you are where you are, and you knew what you were getting. You should have known what you were getting yourself into if you ever watched the Jason Garrett era of the Cowboys. You should have known exactly what you were getting yourself into and come up with a plan if you didn't have a plan of action. Uh, coming into the season. Now you're on the hot seat, which I don't even think is a hot seat, really. Like, I mean, I would have thought last year would have been his hot seat, and I would have thought this year, going into this year, he wouldn't be on the team. So it is what it is. Like, I don't even think it's a necessary. If I was Mike McCarthy, I wouldn't necessarily think it's a hot seat at all because I know I'm probably not going to be here next year. So like, it is what it is. And whether or not I can get past the first or second round of the playoffs with this team that my GM owner constructed, um, it's like, what am I going to do? All I can do is maybe try to innovate my playbook or have somebody else call the offensive plays. But what can I do? I gave you 3 12-5 seasons with lackluster talent, um, especially with a lackluster O line. So at this point, now that he's fed up, I think it's kind of comical, and the fact that they're saying, "Oh, he might not have his job," I think is also comical. So it is what it is. This is just another day in life of being a Dallas Cowboy fan.
So you thinking that right now McCarthy is actually understanding that they're really not giving him the key of the team because obviously he don't have the key because it seems like he's not able to make any choices or whatever the case is. Because I've never been on the record. I've never been a McCarthy fan, as you know, and I'm trying to figure out is he even deserving of that key?
Okay, I will say this, right? He has somewhat of the key, right? Because he's
No,
has
he
the
doesn't. He
ability
has
to
no keys. He never
like
had
no,
any
hear me
keys.
out, hear me out, hear me out, hear me out. So he has
No
the
keys.
ability to like have a say in like
Coaching
what
staff.
players to get drafted. Like as far as player acquisition outside of free agency, I
I
mean
don't think so.
obviously that's not the case. But I will say this. I mean, I get it, right? I mean, McCarthy has had his issues, right? He has
Yeah,
had his issues. But I don't care
I
what you say. This team went from 8-8 a lot of times, or 9-8, or like and Dak Prescott had like winning seasons, but not 12-5 seasons. So they're doing something. He's doing something with the team, and I would say this: outside of the Cowboys, if he gets released from the Cowboys, he will have a head coaching job quickly.
I don't
That
think so.
resume is that
I
resume
don't think
like
so.
I 100% think so,
but
and I
look at
I
think
that.
don't.
like
But
some
check this out though.
You know why I don't think so? Because why didn't he hurt? Why didn't he just automatically get a coaching job when he got fired from the Packers? He didn't automatically get another coaching job. He sat for a year or two before the Dallas Cowboys picked him up. I think
I get you,
teams are going to
I get
see.
you.
I think teams. I could see him sitting down for another year or two because teams are going to see what he did, especially this last season. They're probably looking at him laughing at his playbook and saying, "There's no innovation to your offensive minded coach."
Who's to say? Who's to say that that
I'm just saying it's
teams were
not
not
one or two
going for
things.
him? Who's to say that teams weren't going for him in the years that he had a hiatus? Right? I'm like, if like the people like give me like the Atlanta Falcons, right? If the Atlanta Falcons had three back-to-back 12-5 seasons, yeah, they maybe went past they went like one year they went past the divisional round or the wild card round. They went to the divisional round and they were 1-0. I will tell you one thing: this dude would have a contract signed in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. So
Nah.
I think
If
I
I'm a,
100% think so.
I
Like
don't,
people
I
will
don't think,
be
I don't. We'll
praising his
see. We'll
name.
see. We'll see. In the end of the day, who's right? I think. If I'm a GM, depending on where my team is at, is how I hire Mike McCarthy. Like if I'm a team like the, if I'm a team like the Atlanta Falcons and I'm just trying to build players and I'm just trying to recruit players and trying to draft players to get my team situated. I'll hire Mike McCarthy. He can help me groom these players
Establish.
and establish a team while I'm in the hunt trying to look for my quarterback, trying to look for star players until it's time until I can see okay, I found my Patrick Mahomes. Now let me get the ball rolling. Okay, fire
Right.
him and get a head coach that can actually win me playoff games. That can actually, coach up a offense. But then again, I don't even know if Mike McCarthy, if I would even do that with Mike McCarthy, because what can I say he contributed to Dak Prescott? Like what can I what like where
All right.
is
Okay.
like
I'll give you
where
the answer to that. I'll give you the answer to that. Okay. And here's the answer. And you can ask this too. You can answer this too. How many times was Dak Prescott the runner up for MVP?
let's see, this year and then last year. Or he
No,
was somewhere. I don't know if he was runner up. He was runner up that last. No, was he even runner up last year
no,
or the
he wasn't.
2023 season? So
No,
okay, so
2023
yeah, but
season,
I know
yes, he
he was
was
in
runner
the.
up.
I know his name was in the like top fives. So
No, 2022, he was the one that he had the the so many interceptions
okay, but at one point in
ordeal.
that season, he was top five. I don't know what point where he fell off, but he was top 5. And I don't know what he was this season. Or he was second. Was he second or third? No, Lamar won, right? So it would have been Lamar, then a boy from the 49ers, and then him, I think. But then I can't remember. But anyways, what's your point? Do you think Mike McCarthy is responsible for that?
I do think Mike McCarthy. I mean, also I think Dak Prescott is. Don't get me wrong. I think Dak
That's what
Prescott has 70 to 80% of to do with it, but I do think that Mike McCarthy did play a role into that. Like Dak Dak Pres. I mean, the offense. I won't say it was simple enough, but the offense was enough to
It
where
was
he was
simple.
able
It
to
was so simple that you couldn't get past the first
take over
round.
the offense, and he was able to diagnose plays and everything like that. So that way he can, get in and out of stuff like that. So I do think that, I mean, this is tailored towards Dak Prescott. I do think that this offense fits Dak Prescott. Like this offense fits Dak Prescott 100%.
Here's my pushback on you. Because what offense are you talking about? Because whose offense? Because I don't even think that was Mike McCarthy. Like I think Mike McCarthy was running plays at certain aspects and points in the game where it called for. Because if you look at that first half of the season, like we always talk, like we forget how the first half
No,
of
we
the
don't.
season went.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying some people forget how the first half of that season went when it looked like it was Mike McCarthy calling all the plays, calling all the shots, versus I don't know what happened after the bye week where everything kind of just went out the window. But in certain situations, situational football, Mike McCarthy seemed like he would call these plays that didn't help elevate Dak Prescott. So my point being, I don't believe that he did anything to propelled Dak Prescott to being a top 5 QB because I already think Dak Prescott was in that trajectory anyway. And then the offensive coordinator that he had before kind of proved that. So I'm trying. So what is his skill set that makes him a great a good head coach that I would go and hire him again? Like if I look at Bill Belichick, I would say, oh, he's good at assessing. He's good at you know defense. He's a defensive minded coach. He's good at making the most out of nothing. With as far as his defense, his offense, we found out without Tom Brady, it was in. But he is always able to find diamonds in the rough and make something out of nothing.
Right,
But
right.
his bread and butter is defense, and he'll always give you a top 10 defense. When
So
I look at Sean McVay, like what is his bread and butter? Offense, being able to scheme offense and help elevate receivers. How many times did he have the number one receiver, and he had a triple crown receiver, and then on top of that, he did it with 2 different quarterbacks, and he showed you how much better he could make Matthew Stafford, how much better he helped oh boy, who went to the Lions. Like he got to a Super Bowl with I can't think of his name.
Golf?
Who went to
No.
the quarterback that went to golf. He went to the Super Bowl with golf. Like these are and then if we go and we look at the 49ers head coach, like his bread and butter is being able to call offense and being able to call a really great run game. Like his run game schemes, like McVay is pass game schemes. McVay, I'm sorry, the 49ers coach, not Shanahan. You guys know what I'm talking about. His is being able to scheme great running game.
Shanahan.
I
Yeah,
was loud, but
Shanahan.
oh, okay, go ahead.
So yeah, like I agree with you, but like so I think back to your first question, I think his ability to evolve and ability to adapt. I think that's one of like Mike McCarthy's like greatest assets. Like there's a lot of times where coaches are like, okay, we're just set. I'm set in stone, and I'm not going to move with this thing. Like this is it. This is it. This is it. Right. And so Mike McCarthy has the ability to change.
I don't
Right.
know.
And
This playoff man didn't. I didn't see none of that.
okay.
I'm
Okay,
gonna let him finish his
hold on,
thought because I kind of had the
time
same
out.
thinking.
Because you're like
But let him
you're
finish his
sticking
thought.
on one game, and I'm talking
Well,
about
that's the important game.
Okay,
All right,
so
go ahead. Finish your thought. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I understand what you're saying, right? But that wasn't just offense. But look, I'm gonna go back to what Jordan was saying. It was the first half of the year, or the first quarter of the year, the defense or the offense wasn't propelling like they should have been propelling, right? something happened after the bye week where they sat down and they were like, okay, and the thing was we need to do motions. We always cried that they needed to do motions because they weren't motioning prior to the snap. We're like, hey, you need to do motions, you need to do motions, you need to do motions. And then that game, I think it was the Chargers game or the game after the Chargers game, they were starting to do motions and things started propelling after that, right? And so he has the ability to adapt. Now, this last game, I get it, right? I'm going to attribute that to uh, Dallas Cowboys had no run game, and like, yeah, one of the biggest follies of Mike McCarthy, right, is that his ability to establish a decent running game. He has a very good passing attack. I mean, hell, like what's his name? The guy for the Eagles. Kellen Moore has a good passing attack. He's an air raid offense, and they do have a very good a passing attack all over. But the thing is that while your passing game is very efficient, like your running game is not, and right, and that's what he needs to do well in, right? But like I will say this, like as far as head coach wise, like it was not a very good showing for the not Eagles for the Green Bay game, right? Like when you have all three phases that are like not prepared, that's on the head coach, right? So, but I will say this though that he will get a job because there are going to be teams that are not doing as well, and they're going to see the Dallas Cowboys who were 12 and whatever, right? And I bet you there are going to be teams out there that's like, hey, we are like 3 or we're like 6. We would love to have a person that has the pedigree of the Dallas Cowboys who was 12-3 or 12-4 like for 3 straight years.
Well,
I'm sorry, but
I don't know. I
okay,
don't
hold
know.
on. Let me dispute everything that he said real quick. Uh, Mike McCarthy's best skill set is being able to say, "Hey, I can't do this. I can't get this done. Here, so let me find somebody else to do it." Do you hear that, Josh? Like that's his best skill set. It's not calling great runs. It's not calling great passes. It's not motivating his offense. It's not. That's his best skill set. Is hey, I can't get this done. Let me find somebody else. Let me move out of the way and let somebody else do it. Which is great. Like yes, he has no ego. He's able to go ahead and do that. I'm proud of him. Clap it up. But at the end of the day, I don't want that.
He didn't have that
I don't want.
ability
Hold on.
last
Let me
year.
finish. Let me finish. I'll let you talk. At the end of the
Okay.
day, that's not what I want my head coach to be. Like, I don't want him to be like, oh, Kellen Moore wasn't wrong. Like, I messed this whole thing up. Okay, let me find somebody else to do this. Secondly, I will dispute that he was not able to evolve. He was not able to, kick his bad habits because he didn't. Anytime that we got down or we were in a situation where we were not up, our defense did not get us up and put us in a better position. He would call stupid plays. He would call plays that were that were exposed by the Green Bay Packers, that were exposed by the 49ers. Like good teams were able to pick apart Mike McCarthy when it came down to us either not being able to score first or us not being in rhythm. He was never able to then get us in rhythm. It's and that aspect of his coaching. And then the other aspect of his coaching was clock management. Dude is terrible at clock management. He still hasn't been able to evolve or get better as the years progress. He's making dumb plays, not calling timeouts, not kicking the ball when he should have kicked the ball, or like there's so many different things that he's done in his tenure with the Dallas Cowboys that he has not evolved from. And at the end, on top of that, he brought in his coaching staff, and I'll give him credit on being able, or I guess I'll give him a leeway on him not being able, because I don't think he's been able to get the people on the team that he went. Especially with the coaching staff that he brought in. He brought in kind of a bad coaching staff, but he fired them all the previous season. He didn't want Kellen Moore as his offensive coordinator that Jerry Jones played him with, but gave him 2 good seasons, and then he got rid of him, did it himself, and it was shaky at times. So that's my thing. Is like if I'm a head coach, if I'm an owner at another team, yeah, I'm looking at 12-5, but that 12-5 is, I don't know. A majority of it to me is you had one Dak Prescott. I know a lot of people give Dak Prescott crap, but he is a really good quarterback. He had CeeDee Lamb back there, and you had a great defense that you didn't call. So that's my thing is like, what do you mean he should be able to get a job as soon as I'm not saying that it won't happen. I'm just saying that it probably shouldn't happen. He should probably take a season off, or he should probably get an offensive coordinator job or something like that. But being a head coach of a team, I don't think I don't. I'm not gonna say he doesn't deserve it, but I wouldn't say it doesn't warrant him being, you know, him going and getting another job. And then as far as back to our original topic, him being on the hot seat, I don't think he's on the hot seat because it's with Jerry Jones. He runs the organization kind of funny.
Well,
I will say this,
before you do that, let me say this real quick, and then I'm gonna give it right back to you guys. But we have set up our playoff the best position to be in. We wanted to play home because we was awesome at home. We was at home. We wanted to play. We didn't want to have to get the hardest team to play first in the first round. We didn't. We got Green Bay, who's supposedly we are supposed to have won that game easily, but that didn't happen. So I don't know who to blame other than that dude. And regardless of you taking me all the way, great season, but then we can't beat the weakest team in the playoffs. I mean, what is that doing for me? Nothing. I don't want you there. If that's all you can do is have a great season, because the only thing that does is keep me away from getting a good draft at the end of the year. And not only that, when you're talking about when Jordan said that he didn't want Kellen Moore, but it seems like he went to Kellen Moore playbook in the beginning of the season, because we went back to passing, because in the beginning of the season he was saying he's going to run the ball. It was going to that's going to be our scheme, but that didn't happen either. We went straight back to a Kellen Moore offense, and he's supposed to be the running back genius supposedly, but that didn't happen either. All right, I give it back to you. Go ahead,
all right.
Joshua.
So two things. I'll get to your thing about Kellen Moore offense in a second, but Jordan, your statement where he goes to other coaches and lets them do it, like he was the offensive coordinator for last year. He didn't go to anybody else. That was him. That was all him. He changed it himself. He didn't go to anybody else. He changed it. So that's what I mean by his ability to adapt. Now, the second thing, what I was talking about, our second thing.
Where's the report? Because I heard that what was the name? Was the offensive coordinator's name, had a role in changing up the offense mid-season and calling
I got to see that. But it was definitely
not. I got to see what you're saying, because I read that not recently, but in the middle of the season.
Yeah, like, hey, if you can show that to us, but I highly
didn't
disagree
hear because I remember reading an article about what's his name? Was it Schottenheimer? What's his name?
His name is Schottenheimer. Yes.
Schottenheimer.
Yeah, it was Schottenheimer. Okay, I did read an article about Schottenheimer coming up with he was using new pass plays, or he was coming up with a new pass playbook to help Dallas Cowboys. So that's why I also said
I'm trying to figure that out, because Bill Schottenheimer is one of those coaches that have been bottom tier, like super bottom tier when it comes to offensive coordinators. So maybe that's the case. I don't know, but I want to see that article. Second thing is, you said the Kellen Moore offense, where they're all about. It went back to the Kellen Moore offense. Kellen Moore offense is about curls and stop routes, and that had nothing to do with curls and stop routes.
Pass.
in the pass play. So that was not a
That's my
Kellen
general.
Moore
That's my general topic. Has been a
Yeah,
passing
that was talking about
offense.
Kellen Moore. My point that has nothing to do with Kellen Moore.
No, that's what he was
My
talking about. What
point
I
has
said.
to do with my point has
No,
to
that's
do
what
with
I'm
Mike
saying. Like, it
McCarthy.
had nothing to do with Kellen Moore. Like, I don't think that he was like, hey, I'm going to get Kellen Moore's book and I'm going to go back to that. Like, I just think that, like, as a head coach, like, I will give you the fact that, like, nobody was prepared for that. Like, to the point where I'm like,
Nobody
I
was
am
prepared
like
for what? Green Bay?
Green Bay. That's his fault.
2 times he
Whatever.
wasn't prepared for Green Bay. Because you got to remember, this is why I go back to where you were talking about. That's why I said he does not have the ability to evolve. You saying his skill set being able to evolve and make the decision of not having ego and allowing somebody else to progress, or saying this doesn't work, let me change it. So that's why I combat you, because my most important 2 things that I have an issue with Kellen Moore. I mean, I have an issue with Mike McCarthy. His inefficiency to game manage, and what's the word I'm looking for?
Clock management?
Yeah, his clock management skills.
Andy Reid is the same way.
Huh? Inability to change, to adapt to what's going on right now.
Yes, and his second thing is in the game when we're down, his inability to get anything going with offenses. And I go back to the Green Bay game, and I go back to the 49ers game, and I go back to that. I can't think of that. It wasn't the Ravens. I can't think of it. But anytime that we faced a superior offense where we knew we had to go out there and we needed to score, and we didn't score on our first drive, or somebody else scored on their first drive, it seems like what we normally did, hey, we're not using that playbook anymore. We're doing this. And it became predictable for those defensive coordinators who knew what Mike McCarthy was going to do. I mean, you even said it yourself, Josh. Like, we saw what other coaches and players, that especially that Green Bay team, said. It's like your scheme was super predictable, and we knew what you was going to do before you did it. So that's my point. Is like, we're talking about evolving here, but like, what is that with Mike McCarthy? I don't see it.
They had no running. I mean, they had no running game. When you have no running game, that's what's going to happen. But like, as far as like
the scheme we were running though was bad. The run scheme was horrible.
Okay, the scheme was not superior to like 5 or 6 other teams, right? But the scheme was superior to the rest of the schemes, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Mike McCarthy is like the top coach in the league, right? But I can guarantee you he's top 15. He's top 15,
he's 15,
borderline top 10.
15, 13, he's around there.
Right? Which means if he's 15, 13, that means he will get a head coach job.
That does not mean he will
get. If he's 15, 13, that means he's better than 15 or 13 head
That's
coach.
only saying half of them.
Riddle me this. Why doesn't Bill Belichick have a head coaching job? It does not
he decided he didn't want to go to
get
a head coaching job.
It does not mean he will get a head coaching job. That is not true.
That doesn't mean that he wanted to get a head coaching job.
He was in the market. He
wanted to get a head coaching job. He wanted that position.
Interviews. They decided not to go with him.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you it's probably had a lot to do with money. It had a lot to do with money.
We don't know what it had a lot to do with, but at the end of the day, what you're saying is like it doesn't to me it doesn't correlate. Like, you can't say that.
So you're saying a coach coming off of a winning season, of 3 back-to-back 12-5 seasons, they're going to be like, no, like this guy is bad. This is a bad head coach. So you're saying that any head coach can come in here.
I'm not saying that they're saying that he's a bad head coach. Well, for me
you
personally,
can say any coach can come in here and be 12-5. You can say Jason Garrett can come in here and be 12-5. You can say like Matt Eberflus can come here and be 12-5. You can say like all these other ones can be 12-5. I don't believe that.
With the same staff?
With the same staff, yes.
I'll take that bet.
I would take that bet too.
Yeah.
Because even like Jason Garrett, look, Jason Garrett was able to get 8-8 out of and Jason Garrett didn't always have the best teams. And like we talk about Jason Garrett being 8-8, 8-8, and like just being mediocre. That just tells you how good. Two things. It tells you how good the Cowboys were to just get 8-8 with Jason Garrett. But on top of that, we got to give Jason Garrett like some leeway. He didn't always have a healthy Tony Romo. He didn't always have a Dak Prescott. So like that's the thing is like there's
right. You're absolutely right.
We're talking about.
You're absolutely right.
What did he do when he had a healthy Tony Romo and a DeMarco Murray?
What did he do when he didn't have what happens when he didn't have a healthy Tony Romo and a DeMarco Murray?
Yeah, I mean he had bad seasons. But okay. I mean he was consistent.
Okay, what happened when Mike McCarthy didn't have a Dak Prescott? What happened when Mike McCarthy did not have a Dak Prescott?
Huh?
You talking about Cooper Rush was winning those games?
Did not have a Dak Prescott.
But I'll tell you what, our defense was off the chain.
Wait. So you mean when Dak Prescott went down for like 2 or 3 games?
No, like 5.
He went down 5 games. And Cooper Rush won like 4 out of 5 games.
Cooper Rush is in there. And who was the offensive coordinator? Who was the offensive coordinator? Who was the offensive coordinator?
Kellen Moore.
Exactly.
Okay, but who was the head coach?
So they both get credit. I'm just saying they both get credit.
Okay, it's either way, he's still a good head coach.
And either way,
he will be sought after.
Cooper Rush did his role really, really well. And on top of that, the defense was playing stellar. Then the defense was playing
coach credit.
You're not giving the head coach credit. I just said he gets credit, but I also said look, and that's not even fair to Jason Garrett because I don't think he ever had a good backup quarterback for Tony Romo. I would say he never had a good backup until Dak Prescott was the best backup that Tony Romo ever had. And guess what? He lost the job to him. Like, let's be honest.
Kellen Moore, you didn't have Kellen Moore?
Come on now.
You didn't have Kellen Moore?
That's funny.
Come on now.
He didn't have Matt Castle?
The defense, look, and Jason Garrett's defense has never been this good. Whether that's Jason Garrett's fault, I'll give some slack to him on that, or whether it was Jerry Jones getting in the way of hiring a good defensive coordinator, I don't know. But he never had a defense this good either. Our defensive coordinators that was this what's the word?
Comparable
or competent.
I will say this though. Dak Prescott had his best season. I won't say his best season. But yeah, I could say that. Oh, like besides 2016,
I think this is like his top three seasons that he had.
Yeah,
last year.
So like,
but the defense helped that out a lot, man. Giving him better, really good field position. Come on, I mean, it's just not all Mark McCarthy got him the best thing.
You're poo-pooing the fact. Okay, you're right. The defense did, but you have to also remember that Dak Prescott still had the most touchdowns, the most yards, the most yes, the defense played it in fact, but he still had to get the ball into the end zone.
Okay. The season prior to that, he had the most interception that he ever got too.
And I'm not saying Mike McCarthy. He had what interception?
I said the prior season in that one under Mike McCarthy, he had the most interceptions.
Who was the offensive coordinator then?
But who's the head coach?
I knew you was gonna do that.
Who's the head coach?
I knew you was gonna do that.
Who's the head coach?
You go back and forth. You can't pick and choose, Josh.
Right.
Because when Kellen Moore, when he was doing good with Kellen Moore, and that was Mike McCarthy. Then when he throws
always Mike McCarthy. I would always say it's like
it was Kellen Moore. Right.
You can't get it both.
First of all, I would say this. Kellen Moore. I would say this. Kellen Moore is not a bad offensive coordinator.
No, right? He's not.
But you're not going to see. But neither is as far as offensive coordinators go, right? Neither is Mike McCarthy.
No, I refuse that.
No.
I refuse.
What?
I refuse.
So you're saying he's bottom tier? That's what you're saying.
I'm not going to extreme like you're trying to make it sound like we're saying he is just completely horrible, but he ain't great at all as an offensive coordinator. I'm sorry.
He's not great. Okay,
no, he's bottom tier good.
He's not good. He's not top 10. He's not top 10.
Not even close.
He's top 10.
No,
he's not top 10. So where was the Cowboys offense? Where was the Cowboys offense last year?
After that one season, you would for the next, let's say we give him a 4-year deal. For the next 4 years, would you want Mike McCarthy running your offense? Just purely offense.
Wow.
If he had a good running game, if he had a good running back.
No. He said regardless of that, would
If
you
he had,
have
like-
him
if he had,
running
like,
the offense?
Regardless.
Do you have him running the offense?
He's gonna
If
be.
they had a good, if he had a good running back, yeah.
Not in
of
case
course,
you get
I wouldn't mind.
anybody. Not in case you get anybody.
I wouldn't mind.
know.
I would not
Look,
mind.
That-
we know-
that you get anybody.
Cause look, we know. Cause look, that. Look, I think it was Eddie Lacy, right? He had Green Bay. His best years in Green Bay is when he had Eddie Lacy, and Eddie Lacy was a good talent for 4 years.
Yep.
Like so if he has a good running back, that don't.
Yeah, he definitely
No,
didn't win the
let me
Super
ask
Bowl.
you. Let me ask you a question.
But look,
With-
a good offensive coordinator can get it out the mud with any running back.
Okay,
Like,
I'm glad that you guys are like saying this, right? So tell me, with this staff right here, right? Who would keep this offense at top tier? What coach? I want to name the coaches.
This offense currently on paper.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
The
bro, I'm
hold on. The one that
I
we
don't-
lost. The
I
one that
agree
we
with you.
lost. The one that we lost in the first game in the playoff against the worst team, the last team in the playoff. Who would do better
Okay,
than
that's
that?
one.
I'm saying
That's
you,
one.
So you're trying to say
That's
who,
one.
who,
All right,
who,
how
who
many?
would? No, but that's the one that matters.
Sean McVay, Shanahan, what's his name? LaFleur, whatever, for Green Bay.
LaFleur.
I'm gonna say
Who's LaFleur?
McDaniels.
The one
LaFleur
from
Green Bay.
No, LaFleur.
Green Bay.
That is
You said
LaFleur.
you said two people from Green Bay. Matt
No, I was
LaFleur.
saying LaFleur Green Bay. I was saying LaFleur Green Bay. I said
So Matt
Shanahan.
LaFleur. Shanahan, that's two.
Shanahan, LaFleur. What's his name?
Steelers coach.
McVay.
McVay.
Sean McVay.
Three.
What's Steelers coach?
Daniels
What
from Miami.
What's Steelers
Daniels from
coach?
Steelers coach.
The Steelers.
I don't say the
offensive
Steelers coach.
coordinator.
I don't say the Steelers
The
coach.
Steelers offensive
No, I
coordinator.
said we're talking about head coaches, aren't we?
No,
I
we're
think
talking about coordinators.
offensive-minded coaches
Oh, okay,
who
good.
can run this offense. Do they have to be head coaches?
We're
Or
at
they can
three
be
right
offensive
now.
coordinators too? They have to be head coaches or offensive coordinators too?
Offensive coordinators too. Like you said, McDaniels,
Okay.
right?
Okay, Daniels.
That's four.
Okay, Daniels from Miami. Okay, Kellen Moore.
I disagree with that, but I'll say five.
How you disagree
I
with
disagree
Kellen
with
Moore?
Kellen Moore.
How would you
I think
disagree
he's a
with
Why
better-
you
Kellen
disagree
Moore?
he's
with
a
Kellen
better
Moore if I
coordinator
already
than
know what
Kellen
Kellen Moore
Moore.
can do with our offense?
Well, what?
I think he's a better coordinator than Kellen Moore.
What?
You think oh boy is a better coordinator than Kellen Moore?
Yes.
I disagree.
Why?
I disagree.
Why are you saying you disagree?
Because this one season, if you would have told me Kellen Moore was last year, like 2022, if you told me, oh, okay, hindsight being 2020, I've seen what Mike McCarthy does with our offense, and I've seen what Kellen Moore does with our offense. Hindsight 2020. Okay? If you tell me for the next 4 years, who do I want my offensive coordinator running my offense? Who I want running my offense? I'm gonna say Kellen Moore because I've seen what he was able to do with Dak. I've seen what he was able to do with the run game when he had Ezekiel Elliott, and they allowed him, upper management allowed him to give Pollard more touches. I've seen what he was able to do with that style.
Roster.
I think that was our best offense.
So I think the reason why it was the best offense is because Tony Pollard had less touches.
Regardless, he was able to take a Tony Pollard who was nobody was talking about Tony Pollard and help elevate him and elevate Zeke, utilizing Zeke to his fullest potential, which was anything that was short, anything that was in goal was in red zone. I mean, Zeke had the most.
Did they have that last year? Did they have that last year?
No, we didn't. But you could have. I think Donald could have. I think Donald could have did that. But
yeah, last year I think our running players was horrible.
I think that's all up to our scheme and our utilization of our players, because that also comes into it. You have a bench, and then not only that, whether or not that was up to, we don't know if it was up to Mike McCarthy or not, but to have Deuce Vaughn as your third when you had Davis on your practice squad, which I thought Davis and Dowdle definitely should have been the 1-2 next to Pollard. So I don't know. I mean, the coach is the coach, But I don't know whose decision that really was. And if it was Mike McCarthy, then I'm looking at him funny because you didn't put the best.
Even
You didn't
even
put
if
your
it
best
wasn't
foot
Mike
forward.
McCarthy, you should be looking at him funny. And I agree with you at that. Like even if it wasn't Mike McCarthy, you should be looking at him funny because that is his team, right? But I will say this though. Yes, I do agree the running plays were as bad, but I will argue that the passing plays were more efficient than last than the year prior. They were more efficient.
I don't.
So
I think a lot. I think
I can't argue that.
two things. Two things. Look, and I'm going to take some flack on it because I was on Dak's head uh, a couple years ago. But a lot of but what did we say? A lot of those were were interceptions that bounced off of Dak's hands. Not bounce off
Receiver's
Dak's hands,
hands.
bounce off of Dak's receiver's hands.
Yeah.
Like a lot of those are Dak trying to fit the ball in tight windows, or he threw it when he shouldn't have thrown it. So a lot of that, I don't know if you can blame Kellen Moore for a lot of that because the year prior he didn't have that many interceptions, but this year for some reason there was a lot of interceptions. And
that's fair. That's
and
I mean
you,
that's a
and
fair
what's
assessment.
also fair, what's also fair to go against Kellen Moore, but I don't know if this is just shade that Mike McCarthy wanted to throw on Kellen Moore because he wanted the offense.
Yeah.
Was
I'll
Kellen
say
Moore was saying that Kellen Moore, or not Kellen Moore, Mike McCarthy was saying there were so many different receiver options. Every receiver had an option. I've never seen that before running the offense. I don't know if that was true or not, but there was a lot of times miscommunications with Dak and the receivers. Can you blame it on Kellen Moore or not? I don't know, but efficiency wise, I mean, he has to take that on the chin, but so does Mike McCarthy have to take that on the chin. And if Mike McCarthy is the head coach, then why doesn't he just tell, hey, Kellen Moore, let's not run so many receiver options? Hey, like he's the head coach. You're going to be scared to tell your offensive coordinator to stop running so many options. So, I mean, we got to give and we got to take.
So, do you guys believe that McCarthy is in the best position of running both coordinator and head coach's job?
I would say
Split.
I would say for right now, with the offensive coordinator that he has, I would say it's better for him to run that offense with the offensive coordinator that he has. Right? I don't have. Yes, this dude is. Look, I don't like to talk bad about people, and I don't want to call him booty juice or anything like that.
You just
but
did.
Wow.
I will say this. But I will say this. Like I think it's better for
I don't like to
him
call
the
anybody
plays.
booty juice.
It's better for him to call the plays. And
That's
like
such a
I've
disgusting
seen Schottenheimer call the plays. And now look, and I know you guys haven't seen the plays in what do you call it? Pittsburgh, but it'll be similar to that. Schottenheimer is like, you do not want Schottenheimer to take over the plays. You don't. That is probably the worst thing ever.
That? I mean, they saw something in him.
I think these last two hires was from the front office.
So, I'll say this. I'll say Mike McCarthy is not set up going into the season to be anywhere. Like if he wants to build off of his offense last season, right? And he's going into this season, he's like, okay, what can I improve on? Let's see, I can try to scheme better runs. Okay, let's see, I can try to be better in my crunch time, my game situational offensive play calling when it comes to Dak and if we're down. I don't think that the GM of this team did him any favors whatsoever. He actually did him zero favors. You're going into a season where one, the quarterback is thinking maybe thinking about where his future lies. The receiver is thinking about where his future lies. The running backs, there are no running backs in this offense. So he is set up to me, fail. So that's why Josh, to me, it was funny. We were talking earlier, like 3 months ago, about what this team standings would be, and I think I had them like 5 wins or something, or 4 or 5 wins or something like that. And coming off of free agency and out of the draft, like I don't see, especially now this O-line too. But that's another point. They didn't do him any favors, and that's another thing too. As a head coach, when you say I think he has some say. Like, I don't think he has say either on the players that they draft. Like, I think he just like, oh yeah, we like this player. Oh yeah, because he doesn't even go.
How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet?
He doesn't even go to scout the players.
How much you want to bet? I think he does. And so, how much you want to bet that
but he said he does not. He does not go to the combine. That's twice he opted out going to the combine. So he's not. I don't think.
He did say that he does look at their tape. But the thing is, the thing is this:
when you go to the combine, you interview the players. So to me, that means he's not even going and interviewing potential players.
So
somebody else is doing that. Somebody else is doing that, and then relaying him the film and say, "Hey, what do you think about this guy? Hey, what do you think about this guy?" And then
that's still like a good thing. Like, I would rather have that. Like, me going out and then say like, "Hey, what do you think about this guy? This is the tape on this. This is the tape on this. What do you think? What do you think about this guy?" Like, I would rather have that than.
I don't know. You wouldn't think about going and actually seeing yourself.
I'm feeding you players that I'm feeding you players that I already have in my head. We're gonna draft. You didn't go out there and pick the players and be like, "Hey, I like this. I like this. I like this." I came to you with a batch of players and said, "Hey, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this."
Because I'm going to tell you the top of. I'm going to tell you the top of players that I like. So I'm going to depend on that's just how the organization works. Like, I tell you the top of players that I like.
Right.
I'll tell you the type of players I like, and you get me from those type of players that's going to work in my system, and the type of players I like.
And that's
but
how
I will say this. I will say this is that we will see if the front office has a thing as opposed to the coaches, right? If Brock Hoffman is out there week 1, then we know that the coaches have more of a say than you thought it was.
All right. Okay. So.
Do you know what I mean by like the position on Brock Hoffman I'm talking about?
At what position? You're saying Brock Hoffman's going to play center?
If Brock Hoffman is a center, and then I will let you know that, eventually, what's his name gave you the okay with that. Mike McCarthy. Because Mike Solaris was like, hey, this person is good. That means that he has autonomous control.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I like him being fed and then him saying, "Oh yeah, I like him. Oh yeah, I like him." Like, I don't know.
What about Tyler Guyton?
Like, how's that a Mike McCarthy pick?
Right.
You think Mike McCarthy picked Tyler Guyton?
Yes.
But I'll tell you what. We're gonna go ahead because we're gonna have to wrap this up today. But we're gonna come back here and we're gonna talk about some more of this right here because it's getting kind of deep. I love it. You see what McCarthy, what he's willing and what they're not will allow him or willing to let him do in that house. So we'll see you guys coming back again. Oh, and before we go, if you like it, hit the like button on the bottom. And then also hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed before because you know how we do it.
And leave a comment in the comment section. Let us know who would you rather have as your offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys? Would you rather go on another?
Yes.
Would you rather go with Mike McCarthy or somebody else?
Yes.
But you have to put somebody down there, and you have to give the reasons why.
Well, I'm just saying, if you like them, say yes or no.
No, I want to know that, I depend on. Look, you guys are smart enough.
Josh wants a whole essay.
Right, we don't need that.
I
want an eye contest. I want an eye test. What you seeing? That's what I want.
I want to know what type of what coaches that you would have before him. How many coaches you would have before him?
Don't need that much.
If it's more than 15, which it won't be.
It could be more than 15 if you're adding head coaches and offensive coordinators. It could
right.
be.
I'm adding head coaches.
Okay, so he's halfway there. So he's halfway there. He's half good. All right. But we about to roll, and we'll see you again shortly. We love it. Setting it straight with fam. Me, Bobby B, and my boys, Joshua and Jordan.
Peace.